This program is presented by QubicaAMF, making bowling amazing.
Welcome to the 2026 Bowling Promotion Tour's QubicaAMF Masters semifinal match. Today's contest features last year's champion Keny Billaut versus the number 2 seed and PBA Touring Pro Tim Foy Jr. We are here on lanes 21 and 2 at the Malo Bowling Center in La Meziere, France, as Billaut gets ready to start the match on the left lane. I'm Bruce Hall, along with Marc Chavet. We provide the international commentary for this year's Bowling Promotion Tour. And there is Billaut's first shot. Comes off the dry, a little bit high in the pocket for a 6-pin. Billaut is our number 3 seed, and he got here by defeating Christopher Berg Nielsen 195 to 165 in our last match, where he was largely around the pocket, but he couldn't string any strikes. Let's see if the lanes loosen up a bit for him here against Tim Foy. We'd like to thank QubicaAMF for their continued sponsorship of this Masters Series, and Storm for the sponsorship of our Women's Series. And now let's get a look at Tim Foy, who will start on the right lane. Tim needs little introduction. He had a great year last year on tour, doing everything but win. He had 6 top 5 finishes, which was second on tour. He was 5th in points and 6th in earnings. He had a 224.5 average. He gets it out to the right, comes back, and doesn't quite make it high enough to carry the 10-pin. So there's a weak 10 for Foy to kick us off. He won a USBC Eagle in 2024, and he was the PBA Eastern Region Player of the Year that year. For the Bowling Promotion Tour qualifying, he averaged 227.55. Notable because he missed high qualifier but just 20 pins over the 18 games. He was behind Simon Bruszowski, who awaits the winner of this match. He's our number 1 seed. Our oil pattern today, custom made for these TV finals. It's 41 feet in length, 7.86 to 1 ratio, and a rather light 23.8 mils of oil. And we are now into our 6th match on this pattern. And mostly righties. You can see Tim quite a bit to the left here, playing closer to the middle of the lane, as you do when the lanes transition and break down. And he gets that ball out, and he turns it up, but doesn't quite make it up to the pocket on the left lane. The left lane typically been a little bit tighter for the righties, the right lane hooking a little bit more in the opposite for the lefties. So there is the 2-pin nudges out, leaving just the 8-pin for Tim. Should be a routine spare. There's a white dot he's throwing at spares. That's a Columbia offering. That's not allowed on tour anymore. Columbia is a brand that is not product registered, so he'll have to switch spare balls for the tour this year. And no problem on the 8-pin conversion for Tim Foy. And we've got 3 9 spares so far. In previous matches, it was Christopher Berg Nielsen shooting 265 in his first match against Arthur Willeman. but then he struggled against Billaut. Before that, Willemin beat Americans Christopher Vialli and Crystal Elliott, and then he beat fellow Frenchman Arwan Ambiel before losing to Berg Nilsson. So that's how we got here. Here is Keny Billaut. Right lane comes up ring 7. That's 4 9 counts in a row, folks. Nobody able to strike quite yet. And this is a good shot by Billaut. Again, that right lane a little bit tighter, so the ball comes up a little bit behind the pocket, a little bit late, and leaves the ring 7 for the left-hander. He'll go cross lane here. Billaut throwing a hammer purple solid reactive for his strike ball. That's a low hooking plastic ball for the spare. So we've got 4 9 spares to kick us off. And here's Billaut cross lane. Billaut is a big man. When you see him in person, he's a lot bigger than he looks on TV. He towers usually over his competitors at 6'5". He's a powerful man. He gets down at the line beautifully. A very, very commanding player, Keny Billaut. Let's see what he does here. Let's see if he can make an adjustment on the left lane, hooking a little bit more. So he's gone 6-pin, 7-pin, which is nibbling around the pocket, unable to strike. And now he goes again out to the dry, turns up high, and another 6-pin. So Keny is fishing around, trying to find the magic formula where he can start to put some strikes together on this oil pattern. This was consistent with what we saw in the first couple of matches. Christopher Vialli and Willemin were throwing urethane, dragging some oil down, and then the lanes got easier on the right as we went along. Keny has had no such help. He's the only left-hander in the field, and he comes up, and this is his second match, so he hasn't really had a chance to open these lanes up at all. So let's see if Tim Foy can take advantage of that. So far, Tim has gone 9 spare, 9 spare, and let's see what he does here. That's a GB5 Pearl in his hands, and a very, very popular piece, very controllable Pearl offering. From Ebonite, gets it out to the right, and it comes up, and that ball's late to the pocket. A little surprising because it's on the right lane, which we typically think is a little bit drier. So let's watch this ball go out. Slow down, it's supposed to turn up a little harder there, and going through the break point and not doing its job. I wonder if Tim will make an adjustment either for speed or maybe a ball change to do something to get the ball to turn up to the pocket, because that's 2 in a row that were light. So here's the 2-8 combination for Tim, and he converts it, so good for him. And we wanted to talk about the Bowling Promotion Tour website. We'd like to congratulate founder Bruno Bidone for creating PBA France. We've got a French version of the PBA now. We'll have some exciting events for that new organization later this year, including it's rumored that there's going to be a national title similar to the Lucky Larson that will come out. And look at this shot by Tim Foy. Oh my goodness. Watch this ball. This is insane. The 2 racks of pins, the 2 sides of the rack split like they part the Red Seas, and watch them just go each their separate ways, and they leave that 9-pin. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable power, and the ball just drives right through and leaves the 9-pin, and Tim comes over and a little bit disgusted, making the 9-pin there. That was a beautiful offering, and unfortunately does not carry the strike. Leaves him 2 pins in arrears now as Billaut gets up for his 4th frame. We mentioned PBA France. There's a number of events that are in the offing. You might want to check out the Bowling Promotion Tour website to learn more about that. And if indeed there is a Lucky Larson style PBA France event, you will see many of the U.S. stars over there, because it does count as a PBA national title, which is the coveted title. There is Billaut, right lane, get it up, yes! Gets the strike, first strike of the match, makes the adjustment, and there's no doubt about this one. Watch this ball turn through the pocket, and that is 10 back for Keny Billaut. So finally breaking through to get our first strike of the match and maintain his 2-pin lead. Billaut last year averaged 220 for his 18 games of qualifying. He beat the machine, Philip Manning, 222 to 200 in our televised finals. That was at Fontaine-le-Comte, which was his best 6-game series, so he loves that house. So he won the last year's Masters title. Oh my goodness, up high, and there's the drier lane and pays the ultimate penalty. I don't think he minded it off at hand. It didn't look too bad off his hand, but watch this ball turn up, and that is a big 4 split. That is nasty and virtually impossible to convert, and he's going to lose count and the mark for this big 4, taking out just 2. Wow, what a tough frame for Keny Billaut, and let's see if Tim Foy can take advantage. So he's going to just get 8 out there, so 84 now in the 5th, and Tim Foy now at a 96 pace for the 5th, so give him the 12-pin lead sitting on the bench. Let's see what he can do here. And Foy strikes for the first time, gets the ball to carry the 7 and the 10. And this is pretty typical of a PBA pro when the opponent makes a mistake. Look at the 7 and the 10. Both go off to the left here. When the PBA pro senses his opponent in trouble, that's when he pounces. And I would fully expect a double here by Tim Foy. Let's see what he can do going into our 6th frame. And he gets it out, turns it up, and there's no doubt about that one. No 9-pin that time, my friends. So he comes back and doubles, and indeed takes that 12-pin lead and makes it 22. And Keny Billaut had better get his striking shoes on, because once Tim Foy gets dialed in, it could be the party is over. So here is Billaut. He struck on this lane last time. So finally dialing in on this lane. Billaut is a member of Team France, and he won the 2023 Vice European Championships and the 2022 French team and doubles events. And he trips the 6, but can't get the 7. Billaut with a 7-pin lead there, comes a little bit high in the pocket on his tighter lane. So he made the adjustment, but ball comes a little high. And once again, nibbling around the pocket. He's only able to manage 1 strike, and the one time he misses the pocket, he pays the ultimate price for the big 4. So Keny Billaut not having the best time of this Boyle pattern custom made for our Boyle Promotion Tour final. We mentioned the Competitors Tour around France. They visited Billaut in the northwest corner of France, then they were in Avranches in the coastal town of Mont-Saint-Michel, then 6 games of qualifying at Bowling Le Sphere and Fontaine-le-Comte. Then they did the team exhibition at Chateaubriand, and finally we are here at La Meziere, France, at the Cap Malo Bowling Center. Oh, here's a ball change for Keny Billaut. Let's see what he does with this. This is the NU. This is a little bit less reactive ball, so he goes out, turns up less, and trips the 6 again, but this time leaves the 4-pin with it. So Billaut fishing and fishing and fishing. And on his way, remember he shot 196 last game, couldn't really put together any kind of a score. And he was lucky that his opponent only managed 165 in that match. Now he goes cross lane for the 4-pin. Again, routine spares at this point, but not what he needs. And with that big 4 and Tim's double, Tim enjoying the 24-pin lead now. Check it, 23-pin lead for Tim Foy, now getting up to strike again. Look at how high that pin is with the GB5 Pearl. That gets the ball down the lane, so clearly this is a ball he's chosen knowing that there's been some play on these lanes. He needs the ball down the lane, and there's another 10-pin that looked almost exactly like the first frame. So usually when the lanes start to break down and the head oil goes and it starts to hook a little bit more in the front of the lane, you go to a shinier ball with sometimes a pin up layout that pushes the ball down the lane and turns up later through the pins. And that's what Tim has chosen to do here, and he comes across lane and makes the 10-pin. So back to a 22-pin lead now for Tim Foy as we go into our 8th frame. Stay tuned for Marc Chavet's interview after this match. And as we said, the winner faces Simon Hrušovský, the Slovakian, who needs to bowl just one match to take this title, a coveted #1 seed. And here is Tim. Look at that great inset. You can see how compact he is to the line. Gets it out to the right and shreds the rack. Great shot there by Tim Foy. And now Tim pacing to 205, 235 possible. Keny can strike out for just 213. So Keny needs to make up these pins right here. These are crucial shots for Billaut if he wants to stay in this match. You can see Christopher and Amy Viale there in the background. That's Amy Viale there right by Keny's left arm there. We did see Keny in the November Megabucks tournament in the U.S. There's a great strike there by Billaut, and does what he needs to do. If he can strike again, he can get it down to just 12 pins. And out to the dry. Look at that stroke. Hard through the shot. Give me some leverage. Turns it up. And no doubt about that strike, but he's feeling the pressure. Clearly, Tim Foy is an intimidating opponent, and his credentials are not lost on Keny Billaut, I assure you that. So he's definitely feeling like he's got to strike here. 9th frame. And the big man delivers out. Looks good. Oh no, it jumps through the beak again. Wow, same problem he had when he left that big 4. It gets it to the spot. Look at how this ball is far out. Look at how far out it is, but look at the turn it makes at the end. And comes up for an 8 count. That's big trouble for Billaut, that he's lost this left lane, the drier lane. And all of a sudden now, his max is 193 as he spares there. And again, Tim Foy pacing to 205. So Tim just needs two marks here to lock this up. And if I know Tim Foy, he'll strike on this shot, and that will be that. And then it will be Foy on to face Simon Hrušovský in our final match of this QubicaAMF Masters stepladder. And Tim gets it out to the right, turns it up. Yep, just as the script was written. Strike there by Tim Foy, and that's going to lock it up because Tim will be in the 190s at least in the 9th frame, which is the most that Keny can shoot. So that's the ball game. So it will be Tim Foy moving on to face Simon Hrušovský for the 2026 Bowling Promotion Tour QubicaAMF Masters title. And another shot down the tighter lane, and he gets the scrambling strike. He gets the ball to the 10 pin. Watch this. Comes up a little bit late to the pocket, but it's enough. Look at those pins go screaming across the deck to take out the 8 and the 10. And he says, oh, let's go. Anyway, so that's the match. And congratulations to Tim Foy, who will move on. And you can check out that final match on our channel here. Please come back and join us for this final match. And another strike there for Tim. He's going to be in the 230s. So this is going to look like a lopsided match, but it was really within 20 pins for most of the match. And Tim getting dialed into the end of the game. Actually, you see that quite a bit with PBA pros. They'll nibble around the pocket, 9s here, maybe a double or 2, and then they'll strike out. They'll get the last 4 or 5 strikes as they dial in to the lanes as the game goes on. We see that quite a bit in PBA pros as they do qualifying and they move across the house to different pairs. So now Foy will close out this 230 game. He gets 8 there, so it's going to be 233 for Tim Foy. And look at the difference in size there in those men. Again, Keny Billaut, the big man, is going to go down in defeat to Tim Foy. But congratulations, Ken could not defend his title. And we will definitely see him in next year's Bowling Promotion Tour. Once again, I'm Bruce Hall, and my pleasure to bring you international commentary for this Bowling Promotion Tour. And Keny throws it over the top. Maybe that was the answer, was to loft over the top of the lane, or the front of the lane, and he gets the strike there. Keny a little disappointed. He's used to winning. Indeed, he won last year. So he'll have to go down in defeat here, but he lost to a worthy opponent. Tim Foy is very, very tough. And, you know, Tim will be the first one to downplay his own accomplishments. But make no mistake, he is a rising PBA Tour star. He's done everything but win. It's just a matter of time for Tim Foy. Now Keny again up and over the heads. Wow, there's the ticket. A little bit of loft there. Seems to work well for Ken. And he gets the double. That'll get him into the 190s. Once again, stay tuned for Marc Chavet's interview. And looking forward to our final match. It will be Tim Foy against the Slovakian Szymon Rashofsky. Here is Billaut's last shot, and blows a 10 for 192. And again, 190 for Keny Billaut. Could never really get lined up. He was nibbling around the pocket. He finally put a double together there in the 10th frame when he lofted them. And here's some examples. Here's this inset shot of Foy. And this is the one he gets through the lane. This is the double he threw in the 9th to lock up the match. And Foy, very tough. Here's Keny Billaut. It's his shot here. This is a strike in the 4th frame. And he's like, okay, could figure that out. So Keny Billaut only 4 strikes, and those are near the end of the game. He has one open. That big 4 split ends at 192. And when we look at Tim Foy's statistics, he threw the back 5. So out of his 6 strikes, they came, really 4 of them came at the end of the match. And 5 spares there for 233 for Tim Foy. So we'll see you next time for our final match. And here is Marc Chavet's interview.
Alongside the French Grizzly, Keny Billaut, the defending champion, just ousted by Tim Foy Jr. A dramatic match indeed. It came down to one of those decisive moments, 6-2, frame 5. Keny telling me off camera that the situation was more about the lines, more about the oil indeed. Keny, on parlait justement des points déterminants de ce match, que ce soit le 6-2, 5e frame, ou que ce soit l'huilage qui était un petit peu gênant. Raconte-nous un petit peu tout ça.
Oui, tout à fait. C'est vrai qu'avant le 6-2, je fais un petit strike, donc ça me met en confiance. Je retourne sur la 21, je fais 6-2, ça me perturbe un peu. Après, c'est le jeu, c'est le lulage qui fait que. Et j'étais en retard, il était en avance, il a su me chasser le Grizzly comme il fallait. Donc bon, il n'y a pas de regret, il est fort, très fort, et il était prêt, et moi un peu moins.
No regrets for Keny, walking us through the process here, what happened out on the lanes, trying to find the right trajectories, situations on lane 22, less of a problem. 21, he was looking for the right angle, right lines to take. And of course, Tim Foy is a punisher. As soon as Keny made a little bit of a mistake, Tim was there to just give him a massive sanction and clobber him on the head, getting a result as well. Keny, the defending champion, ousted by a PBA player. Keny, c'est vrai que se faire sortir par un joueur de la PBA, finalement, ça reste quand même c'est quand même la classe.
Oui, c'est vrai qu'il n'y a pas de regret, c'est un joueur PBA, il est très fort, donc se faire sortir en face d'un Tim Foy qui est en forme, sans regret, j'ai donné le meilleur de moi-même, il a été meilleur, c'est le jeu, c'est la règle.
So Keny, very elegant as well in defeat, saying, you know, I gave everything I had, I did the best I could do out here today, and to be ousted by a PBA player and the quality of Tim Foy Jr., obviously, I'm pretty happy I'm satisfied with my performance, and I'll be back for more. Thank you so much, Keny Billaut. Merci.